This is actually the surprise that we wanted to share with you. So Ellie participated in the second annual cabin design competition. Cabin Life, and I have the magazine here. Cabin Life is a monthly issue, is a monthly magazine, very popular in Minnesota, especially because this state is so known for its cabin and cottages up north and all over. And I didn't know anything about this magazine before, simply because I don't own a cabin, and I wouldn't buy this magazine. But when I heard about Ellie's design being published in this magazine, I went and I got it. And reading through some of these articles before even getting to her design and article, I noticed so many cool things about this magazine. There's so many beautiful designs, a lot of good features about people who would like to discover cabin life. Just like it says, cabin life. There's everything that you can imagine about cabin life is in here, but particularly relevant to this interview that we're doing today, redefining cabin design right here. And Ellie's design, and we're going to show her design later. It's called Breezway Cabin, a beautiful cabin that she designed, won third place, again, at the second annual Cabin Life competition. There's various cabin designs in this magazine that various artists from different schools probably drew. Ellie's from the U of M, right here in Minnesota. And that was the surprise that we wanted to keep for you. I think it's a very great honor to be published in the first place. Doesn't matter what place you went, just to be in a magazine as a student at such a young age is spectacular, and we congratulate her for that. We're very proud of her, and we will let her talk about how this whole project started from scratch paper all the way to a renowned magazine like this. Here's Ellie.
I had never designed a cabin, and I had never actually been to a cabin. And it was a really great experience to be a part of that class, zoom in on a smaller scale project and do such things. And so we started the project by going into the site. So it was February, and it's Minnesota.
The site was chosen? They told you where the site is? Okay.
Yeah, so the site is by Lake Vermilion, Black Bay, and it's in northern Minnesota. And so, we all had individual sites, and that's something unique again in architecture school, just because, sites being in the city, usually there's very limited, and then professors are, they would prefer that you have the same site, so you're all doing the site analysis and things like that together, so that everybody's kind of on the same page and everybody can understand everybody else's design. So, but this one was unique just because it was a huge site and we all had individual parcels of land. And the lands are for sale. So, and then from there, just to make it more realistic, we had to choose a client. And choosing clients, I chose my Spanish teacher from high school, because we have had a great relationship, and I thought, why not, have this cabin be designed for him and his girlfriend. So,
so we're looking at possible views from each floor. So from first floor, second floor. Yeah. So if I were to look out the second floor window, bedroom or dining room.
Right.
And they all look over a beautiful lake, as it appears.
Exactly. So, we took a lot of pictures from the site, and then coming back, I made a panorama for them to basically explain it and tell them how the site was and what we're looking at, because we did have a meeting before going up to the site with them to just see what programs they want and what sort of a design they want. And that's when they told me that they want, as sustainable as possible, and they want guests over, or they don't, or what do you want in a cabin, that sort of stuff.
Sure.
And so this is some of the inspiration that I took from the site, the wood colors and the birch, and again the colors that were on the site. And then from there we started, making models and making, especially for the exterior shell. And from there, we started designing it again, working with our clients, kind of going back and forth on what is it that you want, which option do you like better. We we had to create at least 2, and I ended up making 3 just because I couldn't decide which one they would love better. So I presented them with 3 shell options, and they ended up going with a dog trot style, and that's where it's a building and then there's a little empty space in between, but there's a roof on top of it, and then there is another space. And so for them, that was the guest house, and then that was their own little part. So a little bit more of a separated, they want it between their guest house and their own. And so you're looking at a rendering inside of their own, and up top is the loft where the bedroom is, and then you're looking at the living room, really kind of small footprint, just because, you know, they want it to be sustainable. And this is looking from the kitchen out towards the door and then to the dog trot. As you saw earlier, that's pretty much a loft, and you have more of a space open. Kind of being from Iran, I love the higher ceilings and room to breathe, but in Minnesota there's a lot of lower ceilings, especially in residential. So
especially in cabins too.
yeah. So and then kind of looking there, you're basically, this is the kitchen area, and you're looking back, and again, this is, you know, a couple stairs up. And
what made you pick a roof that is concave and that flows down? Is it because of rainfall and snowfall?
Yeah.
Or just to give it a better look?
Yeah, I mean, a part of it was it's just such a huge roof that you have a lot of water when it's raining or snowing. Why not put that into use? You know, in my drawings you can see, I'll show you diagrams of where, you know, the water is flowing down and then going into a system where it gets preserved, and, you know, you could use it as a gray water system and water the plants and things like that. There's the kitchen and main living room, and then a living area and mudrooms, you know, for when they enter to the house, and if they have snow boots or something on, they could always do that. And then the guest bedroom and the main bedroom, and then in the middle, it's just such a great space for spending outdoors. You know, you're at a cabin, you're somewhere with nice weather, why not? And then these are kind of sections looking through the building and what's going on inside. And this is a 3D axon, just looking at, you know, what's going on. It's easier to understand.
Can I ask you what program you're using? What software?
That's actually a really good story. So I at the same time that I was going through school, I was going through my internship too, and so I was learning stuff at work and then going back to school and, you know, creating ideas and design. And I thought, you know, I really would like to bring all that together and look at, you know, how I can utilize what I'm learning at work at school. But I hadn't had much exposure, and I wanted to kind of build my own confidence of Revit, and the program is called Revit, and really work on it on my own and get more familiar with it, you know, on my own and on my own project. And so my friend who's now also working, and I kind of decided that, hey, this is the project to do it. It's an individual project. It doesn't matter if you're spending time on, you know, learning the program, you know, we have it on our own, so we could spend the time designing it as well. And so we decided that we're gonna go through this Revit program together and build our cabins in it. And so that was really a great experience, and, you know, right now I know a lot more than I did at the time, but it was a great experience to just get in there and start working in it. So they're in Revit, and I did all the renderings in Revit, floor plan sections, everything. So I got a lot of my design from the site, the topography of the site, you know, the look from the second floor or the first floor, and how do we utilize all of that. So really paying a close attention to the site that I had. And so the building is kind of tucked into the ground, and at the same time it has a south orientation for getting the maximum exposure. And with that, you know, the window placement and gaining the heat during the day and then having it get off at night. And so really looking into that, I kind of oriented my building. And luckily, you know, the lake was south, so I could have the windows in the south. And then my northeast, where you have the cold winter winds, it's tucked into the ground, and so you don't get much of that exposure.
While you were doing all these designs for your cabin, did you know about the competition and cabin life at the magazine? Did you do this with the intention of actually participating in this competition, or is this something that occurred after and it was just a push for everybody to put their design through?
Yeah, I would say both. Our professor had told us about the competition and that they had done it in the years past. But, you know, there was 15, 16 of us in that class, and only 5 of us would make it to the competition even, because it would be the top 5 that got chosen, you know, from the judges at the end of the semester doing our review, and then they would send it to the magazine, and then they posted everybody's, which is, I think, 10 designs, online for people to vote, and that's how we got, you know, different places and how much of the vote. So we kind of knew, but we had no idea if we were going to even make the cut to get into the competition. So.
What makes you think that you were awarded a place in the magazine and you actually won a prize? Again, whether it's second prize or third prize, it doesn't matter. Just being published is an honor, I think. And what makes you think, from your own perspective as an architect, why you were selected and why the other, I don't know, 20 or 40 weren't selected?
The people who actually selected our designs, they kind of told us why. You know, mine was a holistic system. It wasn't only a cabin design. It was, you know, the water system. I had given it thought about every single move that I had made, you know. Why are the windows placed where they are? Why are they kind that they are? Because of the airflow, or why is the roof like that? You know, because of the water collection. Why is it oriented this way? Because of the solar. So there was a lot of things that I thought about throughout, and it was because of my clients. I mean, I have to thank them for kind of pushing me towards a sustainable track and telling me that, hey, we might want this off grid sometime. You know, design it to be that. So that was a part of it, and then another part was, you know, utilizing that Revit system and doing the renderings and doing the floor plans and things like that, even though it took us a long time to figure out the program, and that was a learning process, but it was worth it because we learned something new and we generated good drawings and good renderings, and that was because of Revit. So they were really happy with our renderings and drawings. So
very much along the way of how the judges thought, and again, going through your portfolio, and I don't have any background in architecture, but just looking at your portfolio, something that I retained is that you know a lot of things about a lot of domains pertinent to architecture. One of them might be photography, interior design, design itself, the art of architecture. And then we get into, you know, the, as you said, heating and cooling systems when you go into the details. Are these things that are taught in school, or are these things that, again, because of that extra curiosity and willingness that you had, made you go over the edge and become better and win the prize?
Yeah, I definitely want to be a well-rounded architect and well-rounded person, so that's a part of it. You know, we were never forced to learn photography or do professional photography or, you know, go after the sustainable track and get a LEED certificate or whatever. But I do like having that option of doing different things, and you know, architecture, I chose architecture because of that reason too. You know, you have a variety of things that you could do in the day. You know, you're dealing with clients, you're designing, you're doing drawings, you're dealing with city politics. It's all of it together, and I think that is a really interesting life, and it's really interesting for me to figure all of that out. You know, no construction, deal with the clients, everything. I think it just makes it perfect versus, you know, somebody doing same thing over and over in a day. I think that just wouldn't fit my personality. So I do like to kind of take a peek into different things, and I think I kind of oriented towards architecture, and so that way I could utilize all of the skills that I have and eventually make use of them. And right now I'm actually doing some photography for my firm. So that has been cool, you know, just because of taking the photography class and having a camera, I'm able to go out and do photography for my firm.
One question I had regarding to what you said about being very fascinated about the architecture in the motherland back in Iran, and as we know, the very beautiful architectural sites in Iran. Do you think some of those aspects could apply to North American designs, from residential to commercial to historic and touristic sites? And would you like to get involved in that if that were the case?
Yes, for sure. I think you know, as I said, Minnesota, we have a lot of lower ceilings, but nowadays we're seeing a lot more open floor plan, and we're seeing a lot more higher ceilings and things like that. I mean, it kind of depends on the climate and, you know, the issues that come up with, you know, wall structures and things like that. But I think there's definitely things in design that we could apply it, you know, just like from going from architecture to a paper jacket, you know, how does that relate? You can still get ideas and you can still look at that. And, you know, in Minnesota, or particularly in Northern America, there's less of historic sites, but there's still a lot. And I think, you know, in Iran, there's a lot of historic things, but are they preserved the right way? Are they not? So I think it's a matter of these two things kind of talking to each other, and I love having both backgrounds, and I would love to go back to Iran and study that further and really bring back what I know and give them what I know from here. So.
How do you see your career in 5 years and 10 years when you retire? How do you see the growth path of where you are? I mean, you're very young, you're interning, and already, as I said, such an honor of not only being published, but working in a great firm and have so many great visions. Where do you see your career go from here?
Yeah, well, not everybody knows that architecture is kind of a difficult path to become an architect. So after going through my undergrad Bachelor of Science in Architecture, I have to go back for my master's if I want to be a licensed architect.
I see.
So that is the first thing on my agenda.
I assume that's something that is in your plans, right?
Yes, it is.
Short term.
For sure it is. And right now I'm just working in between. You know, I had a great opportunity to intern with this firm, and I could see myself really benefiting from working and really getting that knowledge of construction and how to work with clients, and then going back to architecture school and really enjoying my design and not worrying about that again, you know, and then coming back to the architecture world and with newer ideas and things like that. So I think that break is going to be really good for me. And then, you know, going through grad school, I still haven't decided where I want to go and still exploring the options. And then from there, you come out of school, but you still haven't done the test. So there's like 7 tests and 5,000 hours of internship, which I'm working through right now, but it's still some amount of time. And most people, I would say, get their license well when they're 30 or so. So we'll see where I end up with that. And then kind of, you know, there's different levels to architecture. Right now, I can't call myself an architect, but I'm an intern architect or architect in training. And from there, I can become an architect once I pass all the exams and do all the hours of internship. And then from there, you know, becoming project architect and becoming designer, or, you know, architect, managing architect, and just moving up. So we'll see where life takes me.
Just out of curiosity, is this a very male-dominated industry?
Yeah.
And how do you feel working in it, studying in it, and projecting your career in it?
Yes, I mean, if you asked that 30 years ago, it would be a lot more male dominant than it is right now. So right now, you know, there's few of us women in this even firm, even though we are always trying to figure out a way to hire more women and have more women architects. But it is still male dominant, especially once you get into construction. But I think it has only brought me positive so far, and it has, you know, made me a stronger person, a stronger woman. It's
probably easier to stand out also, right?
It's true, yeah. I think one of the reasons I did get this internship about 3 years ago was because I was a woman. You know, they wanted a girl in that level. They were interviewing with the guys too, but they ended up, you know, getting me and a guy at the same time, so it's kind of 50-50. So we were kind of balancing that out, but at the same time, there are things that I think men are still more comfortable in this industry, but I think eventually we're going to see that transition, women take over.
Well, I can't say enough about how proud we are of you, about the community also. Again, in the Iranian or Persian community, as you know, children who go through college and university, oftentimes we are a very academic and educated generation, as you know, and a lot of us go into programs such as medicine and architecture and law and you know, engineering, business, finance. and seeing a young woman in the community in North America, going into architecture, which again is a very male-dominated industry, and I knew that before even I asked you that, is very remarkable and very inspiring, and I hope that this projects a very positive image on our younger girls who are still in high school and who have that vision and that dream and aspiration to one day be where you are, and maybe even up to your pace. That's remarkable. Thank you for allowing us to interview you today here at BKV. Once again, Ellie, thank you very much for having us over. And again, the surprise that we had for you today was her published design, her cabin called Breezway Cabin, that won third place in this magazine here, Cabin Life, October of 2013 issue. And the second annual Cabin Life Design Competition. And if you pick up a copy at your favorite store, and I'm not going to name any stores, you will see her design right here in the bottom left-hand corner with her picture and a brief bio and description of her work, of her life, and about her aspiration, about how she started in this project. And we went over in detail in the portfolio about how this cabin looks, what the details are, the construction, the design, the 3D, and it's very fascinating. Very proud of Ellie in the community here, and I want to thank her once again on behalf of Ajil for inviting us here at her firm, and hope to see her grow and succeed. Thank you.